Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Property Guide on ET Now, your one-stop guide to property investments in India. Thank you for your overwhelming response to last week's episode on investments for NRIs in the Indian real estate market. We're going to be answering some of the questions you sent in during the week. As always, we have a packed show lined up for you today, and we're also going to review two major markets for investments and tell you if you should be putting your money into either of them. Remember, our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, and a copy of this show will also be available on our Facebook page. On the show this week, our experts pinpoint locations in Navi Mumbai that might be worth your money. We'll also give you a list of projects in the region. We'll tell you how the IT sector is driving real estate in Coimbatore. And in our segment called Meet the Developer, we sit down with HDIL. Let me do a quick round of introductions to our guests, which I'm sure you are familiar with if you watch the show on a regular basis. Ravi Ahuja, Executive Director at Cushman Wakefield, joins us in the studio. Thank you for coming in, Ravi. Thanks. And of course, Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. We're so grateful to have her on the show as well. Jayashree, thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's get straight to our first market. Remember, in our year-end episode, our experts recommended Navi Mumbai as one of the investment destinations to watch out for in 2014. This week, we've decided to spend some time focusing on Navi Mumbai. Now, we know that about 30% of the units in Navi Mumbai are unsold and unoccupied. Prices have dipped between 18 to 22% over the same period last year. Let's take a look at trends and price movements in Navi Mumbai, and then we'll come back and talk about it. 4 decades ago, in a bid to decongest Mumbai, Sidco created the satellite city of Navi Mumbai. 4 small townships were carved out to form a well-planned, self-sufficient colony. Over the last 5 years, Mumbai's urban managers have focused their attention here. The recently opened Eastern Freeway has reduced the travel time to South Mumbai. The upcoming metro rail line is further expected to boost the realty market, and Panvel will be home to Mumbai's second international airport. But the airport's first phase has met delay after delay and is expected to be operational only in 2017. In anticipation of the infrastructure boost, property prices in Ulve, in the neighbourhood, ran up 79% and touched a peak of 7,600 rupees in 2012. Since then, with disappointment of no airport, the prices have dropped drastically to settle at 4,800 rupees. The industrial zone of Panvel has witnessed a steady up move in prices as well. Home prices here are currently going at 4,500 rupees a square foot. Compare that to 3,300 rupees a square foot in 2011. That's an increase of 34% in 2 years. The 10-kilometre stretch of Palm Beach Road running parallel to the Mumbai harbour has witnessed a whopping 47% rise in prices in 2 years, and homes currently here are priced at 15,975 rupees. Kharghar, which is one of the faster developing suburbs of Navi Mumbai, has witnessed a 27% rise in prices over the last 2 years. Homes here are currently trading at about 7,000 rupees a square foot. Alright, so that was Navi Mumbai. Ravi, there's so much being said about Navi Mumbai. I first want to talk to you about areas like Palm Beach Road and Vashi, which is where people would like to live. They're fairly priced out at this point. There isn't too much supply coming in those areas. What is the future for these two markets?
I think like any other city, Navi Mumbai over the last decade or so has matured. So there's been great planning by the local authority, Sidco there, in terms of infrastructure and decongesting Mumbai, which clearly saw Vashi and the Palm Beach Road take the first mover steps. And now that the city over there is maturing, we see these locations really getting oversold in terms of pricing as well as supply, which is very restricted. But yet we're seeing some good traction on supply, quality supply at Palm Beach Road, because Palm Beach Road, mind you, extends not only from Vashi, but goes right up to Belapur. Okay. And that's really the length and breadth which is going to see the future growth corridor in terms of premium development. Okay. And then, of course, we know that once the city matures, the suburban locations, which in this case of Navi Mumbai, we've seen locations like Kharghar, some of the other growth corridors like Ulve because of the airport, which has always been in traction. And of course, the new Panvel and the Panvel locations are seeing some development.
Jayashree, for someone who wants to live in Navi Mumbai, let's look at the whole market as one. Obviously, is going to have to travel into the city every day for work. This is a place I will live in. I'm dedicating 2.5 hours a day in just travel. What markets are you seeing the most activity in? What would you recommend to someone who's looking to buy a home?
See, Faye, I'll base it on on the kind of activity that I'm seeing on our website. We see that the areas like Palm Beach and Sea Woods are areas where you've seen, in 2 years you've seen a 30–40% or even more increase in values. But it's very actively traded on the site, which means there's a lot of consumer interest. There's a lot of activity even in others, Ghansoli, Kalamboli, Kopar Khairane. These are all areas which have seen significant rises in property values, 15 to 20% rise in property values on the back of consumer demand. And this is because there is a intrinsic demand for property in Navi Mumbai, either because of the affordability factor vis-a-vis the island city, or because it is close to where they work, and it could be anywhere within the region.
I want to ask both of you the same question. I'm going to go to Jayashree first. Jayashree, for someone who's living in Mumbai, who's looking to make purely an investment, has between 40 to 50 lakh rupees to put away right now, what part of Navi Mumbai would you recommend?
I think you should be able to get in the Ghansoli, Karamboli stretch. Nerul you should be able to get in that budget. There are a lot of options in FA, and actually it depends on each person. It's not that you're going, why are you investing in that area? Some people invest because they want regular rental returns, and there are places in Navi Mumbai which are near the IT hubs, which are near the CBD, which are closer, very easily accessible from the island city, where you get good returns, and that is where you should be looking at. There are some others who want to buy early on in the cycle, then go for places where the projects are being launched and wait for the leverage value to grow.
And if my reason is rental return, then what would you recommend?
I would say places like Kharghar, Nerul, you would get good rental returns because we see good rental values there. And even places like Airoli, I see a lot of rise in rental returns.
All right, Ravi, same question to you. I have 40 to 50 lakh right now. I'm looking to make an investment. The island city is obviously off limits at this point. Where should I be investing in Navi Mumbai?
I think I would bet on two locations. One is the outskirts of Kharghar, which is Taloja, thanks to the metro which will come and connect that location. I think there's a good 10 to 15% capital appreciation over the next 2 to 3 years. Kalamboli is the second one. For rental returns, I would go by Airoli because of the IT job employment there, and those kids and those graduates over there will want to look at leasing. And of course, Nerul, which is one of the prime spots for senior living, and Palm Beach Road.
What sort of returns would you expect from these investments over the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I think Navi Mumbai would have taken off and reached a new paradigm. I think at a 10% per annum, you would see easily a 40–50% jump in the next 5 years. Yeah.
All right, 10% per annum from Navi Mumbai. And if you're looking to buy a home in Navi Mumbai, here are some investment options that we've put together. Take a look. Sai Miracle by the Paradise Group, Orchid Residency and Orchid Arcade by Sunny Build Tech, Balaji Symphony by Space India Builders, and Brookfields by the Monarch Group in Kalamboli. All right, quick round of questions, and these have come in largely in response to our NRI episode last week. Rahul has written in, he wants to buy property in Mumbai with a budget of 2 crore rupees. Please give me some options. 2 crore rupees, that's a fair amount in Mumbai. Where would you point him? In what direction would you point him?
I would say in the western suburbs, if he was looking, he could look at Kandivali and Borivali. Clearly, 2 to 3 bedroom is available at those ranges, budget ranges. In the central suburbs, I would still bank on Chembur, which I think a 2 or 3 bedroom is clearly available there.
Well, Jayashree, if we look at 2 crore rupees within Mumbai, are they reputed national developers or reputed developers within the city we can buy from at that rate?
I looked on the site and I find that Chembur, Kandivali East and Powai are the areas where you should be able to get about a 3 BHK apartment. Now Chembur, every big developer is there. You see the Lotus, you see a lot of, every big developer has already started developing in that Chembur Vadala stretch. In Chembur, for instance, you get a 1200 to 1300 square feet apartment of 3 BHK. In Kandivali East, you should be able to get about 1300 to 1500 in a 3 BHK. And in Powai, roughly about 1200 to 1300, again 3 BHK within a 2 crore budget.
All right, let's take another question. Musharraf Khan has written in. He's an NRI based in the UAE. He wants to buy an apartment in Bangalore with a budget of 50 to 65 lakh rupees. Now, he's narrowed down his preferences, the Neku Homes, Prestige Sunrise Park and Mantri Web City. He also wants to know if it makes more sense for him perhaps to invest in a plot of land instead. What would you recommend, Jayashree, given the activity that you've noticed? And the interesting part about his narrowed down list is that they're not all in the same neighborhood. Would you rather he buys a plot of land than buys an apartment at this point?
Let me look at it very scientifically and tell him that the yield of all these projects are fairly high. In Thani Sandra, the Bharatiya city, the yield we checked out was roughly about 4%, which is a very good yield in today's market. In Prestige Sunrise Park, if you invest in that area, 4.75% yield is what we're getting, if that is capital to rental value ratios. And in Mantri Web City that he has picked up, again a 3.6% return. He gets a good rental return of 17 to roughly about 22,000 rupees per month if he once these projects are complete. Should he invest in land which appreciates higher? He can invest in land, but remember, land is always more difficult to manage and maintain. Therefore, I would say that if you pick up land and want to sell it 5 years later, be sure that you know there's some advisor in India who's telling you when to purchase and when to sell off.
But Ravi, there are plots of land or plotted developments that they're called right now in Bangalore on the Devanahalli Road. Do you think that one makes sense for someone who's not here in India to manage on a regular basis, like Jayashree was saying? Would you recommend he buys a plot of land?
I would caution the buyer not to buy a standalone land parcel. Of course, it depends on his individual preference, but more importantly, his risk appetite. There are gated communities, like you rightly said. Within the gated communities, you have reputed developers who have launched and are selling just plots on which villas can be built. So I think those will fetch much higher returns than apartments, and one could be safe in terms of title, in terms of due diligence with reputed developers within the gated community.
Here's a quick look at gated developments in Bangalore that you might want to consider. Here's a list of recommended plotted developments in Bangalore. Nitesh Long Island by Nitesh Estates in Devanahalli, Landscape by Shobha Developers also in Devanahalli, and JR Urbania by JR Housing in Rajpura. We hope that helps. Remember, you can always write back to us if you have any more questions. It's time for a really quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the Coimbatore real estate market. Stay tuned.